Putin be wearing a shirt when he's on the phone with Donald Trump?
Well, we know that.
Will we know that? Can we get to the bottom of that, Chris?
Chris Stirewalt knows.
This discussion has taken more alarming turns in the last 30 seconds than I could have imagined in
Welcome
our
to
entire
Fox and Friends
discussion.
weekend.
Yes. I had not braced myself adequately. Putin is this thug. He's this bad dude. And he prides himself on being the toughest guy in the world. And he takes pride, I'm sure, in the fact that he basically squished George Bush and Barack Obama. Yes, Russia is a dump of an economy now. The sanctions have proved crippling to the country. But he remains popular because his people don't know the truth, number one. And number two, he can always fake and stage a foreign conflict, a foreign threat, so that he can keep them scared. So Putin has a challenge with Trump. He needs America as an enemy, but he desperately needs these sanctions lifted. If Trump is his buddy, then he loses one way to keep his people oppressed. But if he doesn't lose these sanctions, it could be eventually a revolution.
Well, and Chris, President Trump was pressed about whether he's going to lift the sanctions at this news conference at the White House in the East Room yesterday. As you know, he ducked that direct question, but had this to say about the relationship.
As far as, again, Putin and Russia, I don't say good, bad, or indifferent. I don't know the gentleman. I hope we have a fantastic relationship. I will be representing the American people very, very strongly, very forcefully. And if we have a great relationship with Russia and other countries, and if we go after ISIS together, which has to be stopped, that's an evil that has to be stopped, I will consider that a good thing, not a bad thing. I've had many times where I thought I'd get along with people, and I don't like them at all. And I've had some where I didn't think I was going to have much of a relationship, and it turned out to be a great relationship. I will tell you one thing, I'll be representing the American people very strongly.
Chris, I got to say, when I first came to the Washington Bureau, I didn't really think I'd have much of a relationship with you. You turned out to be a great guy. We get along fine. So
That's right.
What's wrong? I know you kind of call Vladimir Putin a bad hombre, if you will, based on what you said a moment ago. What's wrong with trying to have warm relations with him?
Well, warm relations is one thing. Practical cooperation is something else. We have cooperated with thugs and bad guys around the world from time to time, including a gentleman named Joseph Stalin. We have some experience in this area. Now, we are already working with Russia, and Russia, as a matter of fact, has the whip hand when it comes to dealing with Syria, and they have kept Bashar al-Assad in power there, and they have dominated the military action in Syria. What about the rest of ISIS? Can they broaden their cooperation? Can it be done in a way that doesn't threaten U.S. allies and interests in the region? That's something that, if it can be executed, would be a coup for Trump.
You mentioned whip hand. Was that a Putin on a horseback with a shirt off reference to that?
Unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. We have that ready, don't we?
Clayton keeps bringing up this shirtless Putin. I don't know what's going on in the mind of yours, Clayton.
You know, on Fox and Friends, that's one of our favorite photos over the years.
All right, it has been a very busy week, Chris, as you know. 2 executive orders were signed yesterday, one building up our military, the other extreme vetting. Many liberals are up in arms about this. Elizabeth Warren was tweeting yesterday. She tweeted at real Donald Trump saying the ordering restriction immigrants from Muslim countries and freezing admissions of refugees is a betrayal to American values. We are a country of immigrants and refugees, of people fleeing religious persecution and seeking freedom, a country made strong by diversity. Turning our back on refugees because of their religion creates recruiting fodder for ISIS and other terrorist groups.
140 characters. It feels like 600 or so.
That seemed like 3 tweets in one. But your response there, I mean, to this feeding fodder for ISIS, I mean, that's quite a statement to make.
Well, look, she doesn't like Donald Trump. Democrats don't like most Democrats don't like Donald Trump, and they hope he fails, and they disagree with him. Just like, and so here's what Trump is going to learn as president. That as president, everything that you do, and Ed knows this from his many years covering this, you're laying it out there on a platter, and your critics are going to pick it apart no matter what it is. And then the worst part is, if anything goes haywire, if there's any problem, you never get granted that your intentions were good. You never get the benefit of the doubt. Instead, they say, you're incompetent, you failed, this is a disaster. So this is one of the first times that Trump is laying, this is a big matzo ball that he's putting out there. He did it on Holocaust Remembrance Day. He did it in a way that was provocative to his staunchest critics. If anything happens now, they're going to put it right on him.
You're right. But, Chris, isn't the left mostly upset that Donald Trump basically kept his promises? Not all of them. This has only been 1 week. But day after day, he rolled out executive orders where he basically followed up on what he promised in the campaign. And frankly, a lot of Democrats and Republicans in Washington are used to presidents in either party saying all a bunch of things like Hillary Clinton would have done probably if she'd gotten elected, and say, I didn't really mean that about TPP. He meant it, and he's following up.
Well, to be fair, Ed, they hate his promises. It's not. Trust me, the Democrats would be plenty relieved if Trump wasn't keeping, and a lot of people would be plenty relieved if he wasn't keeping this particular promise. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they hated his promises when he made them, and they didn't vote for him.
Right. Right. Well, we also know that the phone call with, he was pressed on this during the press conference. Our own John Roberts asked him that question about his phone call with Mexico's president on Friday. And he said it was a good conversation. And we see some forward progress with the United States and Mexico. How do you read the situation?
I think that the two countries need each other very much. I think that us having a stable, friendly neighbor to our southern border is good for American interests, and we can only take Trump at his word. When he says he doesn't want to destroy NAFTA, he wants to renegotiate it, to even some things out. And certainly for Nieta, that they have a massive dependency on the United States as a market. And also for narcotics interdiction. We have a lot of shared interests, and both of them would like to see this work out. So I would guess that after we get past the chest thumping, that we will probably see something more productive here.
It's interesting. I don't think people are talking about this enough. So much politics at play here, even when it comes to the president of Mexico. I mean, he ran last time against someone who was very anti-American. This guy's now running against him again, what, in like 2 years? So you have this anti-American sentiment that's been building up in Mexico. So he's got that pressure he's dealing with. How does President Trump take advantage of that or deal with this in a way that kind of puts him in a corner to get what he wants out of it?
So Trump needs this guy to succeed. It's in Trump's interest to have this guy succeed, but it's also his primary interest, as he would say, is America first. So how does he get the best deal for the United States but not blow this guy out? Because his opponent that you're talking about is basically like Hugo Chavez and would like to do in Mexico a staunch I wouldn't say Stalinistic, socialistic, this guy who is a strong man, this guy who is strongly anti-American, would be huge trouble on our southern border. We don't want that guy. Trump doesn't want that guy. So how do you make this a win? As he said, it's going to be a win for both sides. Now it's the art of the deal.
Right, and he's got his poll numbers going up in Mexico now. He had really low poll numbers, and as a result of...
Because he was starting in single digits.
Standing up to Trump, we start to see his poll numbers go up. That seems like it's a smart play for him politically, to Abby's point.
All about politics, as we know.
Chris Stirewalt, great to see you this morning.
Thanks for putting your shirt on this morning.
Yes.
You guys are creepy.
A lot of chest thumping from Chris this morning. Very cool.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good day.
Bye.
All right, to some other headlines this morning. Breaking overnight, panicked Google executives working frantically behind the scenes, ordering their foreign employees to return to the United States immediately on the off chance that they may be affected by President Trump's new temporary immigration restrictions. Google is concerned that workers in those targeted countries could be singled out by Mr. Trump and not allowed back. Remember, during the campaign, Google was accused of working against Trump, manipulating search results in favor of Hillary Clinton by blocking the term crooked Hillary. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, the Hillary Clinton email investigation is heating back up, believe it or not. Congressman Jason Chaffetz asking the FBI to hand over the contents from Clinton's private server department. The company that maintained it, Datto Inc., told the committee it gave the FBI all the backup data dating back years, data that members of the Oversight Committee would like to see for themselves. Well, the deadline to comply is February 10th. And First Lady Melania Trump receiving an early victory in court. Her lawsuit against a Maryland blogger getting the green light. She claims that reported false rumors that she once worked as a high-end escort. The damages against the First Lady are estimated at $150 million. And there's this U.S. diplomacy now in the hands of Lindsay Lohan, the actress, meeting here. All right, so first let's start with the extreme vetting. That was some big news that came out yesterday of one of his executive orders. Let's take a look at that.
Totally extreme, and beyond just those countries, we're going to have extreme vetting. We're going to have extreme vetting for people coming into our country, and if we think there's a problem, It's not going to be so easy for people to come in anymore. You look at what's gone on. I mean, we could just go one after another, but then you go to other countries and you look at Nice and you look at different places all over Europe and you look at what's happening with Germany. It's a mess. The crime is incredible. And we're just not going to let that happen here.
Surprising, for the most part, pretty positive here.
It was pretty
Even
positive
Democrats.
there. So the Republicans gave it an A, Independents a B minus, Democrats a D minus. It wasn't quite as positive with the Democrats. Now, here's the thing. A lot of Democrats think this is a humanitarian issue. The extreme vetting, they look at racism, and they're very, very afraid of it. On the other hand, you see Republicans and Independents think that it's really important for national security. They're saying this isn't going to be forever. This is until we can figure out how that we can make this a safe process. And that's something that people agree with. So we're really divided on this particular issue.
Yeah, and on that same note, something he campaigned really hard on was taking back control of our border, making it safer here at home. Here's what he said about that.
We're in the middle of a crisis on our southern border. The unprecedented surge of illegal migrants from Central America is harming both Mexico and the United States, and I believe the steps we will take, starting right now, will improve the safety in both of our countries. Going to be very, very good for Mexico. A nation without borders is not a nation. Beginning today, the United States of America gets back control of its borders, gets back its borders.
Yeah, I always look at the yellow line, the independent, because that gives you a pretty clear sense of how the middle of the country is feeling. They loved that moment. They gave it a B. That's pretty good for them.
They did. So Republicans an A, Independents a B, Democrats they're an F. And this is pretty much the way we've seen this issue on the wall go all the way through the election cycle. It's one that definitely resonates with Republicans. Independents actually think that this is true. Democrats don't want it.
All right, well, people love President Trump for saying things like they really are, saying it like it is. When he talked about ISIS, calling them sneaky rats, here's what he said.
We have evil that lurks around the corner without the uniforms. Ours is harder because the people that we're going against, they don't wear uniforms. They're sneaky, dirty rats. And they blow people up in a shopping center. And they blow people up in a church. These are bad people. When you're fighting Germany and they had their uniforms, and Japan and they had their uniforms, and they had their flags on the plane and the whole thing, we are fighting sneaky rats right now that are sick and demented, and we're going to win.
I have a feeling we're going to hear that more and more for the next 4 years. But who can't agree with that ISIS, they're sneaky rats? They are rats.
That's right. So you can see the Republicans off the charts, A+, Independents an A-, and Democrats even a C. This is something that everybody agrees on. They like that Donald Trump is willing to call them out, call them for what they are, and his message on national security is one of the things that rode him all the way to the White House. And so this was a message that definitely worked for him.
You wonder where he gets his thoughts, his comparisons, right? Because they just come out of nowhere. You're like, yeah,
exactly.
That's true. They are sneaky rats.
They are, exactly right.
Leo, it's good to have you here.
Great to be
here.
here.
Have a good Saturday.
You too.
All right, we'll call it President Obama's parting shot, a plan to save the birds. Yes, birds bound to have gun owners up in arms. They want to take your bullets. We've got more on that. And he's the last person you'd expect to surround himself with a big, beautiful wall.
I hear fearful voices calling for building walls and distancing people they label as others.
Mark Zuckerberg's words coming back to haunt him. More on that coming up.